To hike or not to hike? That is the question. And my answer now is not to hike. And I learned it the hard way. And maybe some of you have had better luck hiking. And I always had this fantasy. The worst part about this disturbing little story of mine is that I always had this fantasy, insane as it sounds, about hiking to the base camp of Mount Everest. I have read every book, every tragic story, every death that's been on Mount Everest. I practically, I've read, I know everything. And I'm fascinated. I'm fascinated in those people that climb the 7 summits. I mean, it's just incomprehensible. So I thought maybe I could just go to the base camp. How hard could that be? Except for the Kumba ice fall. I fear the Kumba ice fall, because every step you could fall. It's like a bridge of just ice. And you have to cross it every time you go to a base camp. You know, when you even just to base camp 1. So that scares me. So I just thought it might be better just to start small, small, like Joshua Tree National Park in California. So I was visiting my sister, and she belongs to a hiking club, bless her wretched heart. And that's another story. But we'll stick to this one. So she wants to know if I want to go for a hike with her hiking club. It was just going to be like a easy hike where they just map out the territory for the bigger hike. So I said, sure, I'm there. You know, it's nice out, it's winter, and I'm happy to be where it's lovely and warm. So I decide that I'll go with her to hike. Another prequel to Everest. So anyway, she said we had to get up at 6 in the morning. And I said, what does that mean? Is that a time of day? I didn't even know 6 in the morning was a time of day that you get up. But I set my alarm. I got up at 6, and a little dreary, but I marched into the kitchen, and there are backpacks. I'm like, what are those? She said, well, these are little backpacks because we're going to be out there for a while, and here's yours. And then, you know, we're going to be ready to go. And I'm like, all I could think about is the last time I wore a backpack. Another hiking experience in the Smoky Mountains with my husband. He's dead now, though, but not from hiking. I didn't die hiking. So anyway, it was back in the day when the backpacks were like these giant metal things, like basically practically a dump truck on your back. And we were hiking in the Smoky Mountains, and it was so heavy. The pack was bigger than me, and I hiked behind him the entire time because I was weeping. And I didn't want him to see me cry because he already thought I was kind of a spoiled brat anyway. And there I am hiking behind him crying. So anyway, there's the, you know, I flash back to that backpack, and I see the new one. It looks a little easier to, you know, to carry. So I'm down with it. But then I was thinking, I said to her, now, if we're going to be out there for a while, where do we pee? Because I know after I'm drinking this coffee to wake myself up, I'm going to have, when I get out there, I'm going to have to pee. She goes, oh, well, you just squat behind a rock. And I'm like, excuse me? I don't think, oh, well, maybe back in the Smoky Mountains, I squatted behind something, but you know, that just didn't sound all that appealing. And I'm like I'm sort of already dreading it, even just due to the peeing experience. Although, flash forward to being on Mount Everest, I just don't think you carry a porta potty with you there either. So I think I'll try and handle it. So we get out there, and we have this guy, Richard, and Richard was an ex-Marine or something, or Brown Boy Scout leader, some form of leader. I don't know exactly what. So I kind of waved goodbye to the bathroom at the gate at the entrance, sadly, knowing that I would miss it terribly. And we start hiking, and Richard pulls out a map of land elevations. I'm like, what does this mean, land elevations? What you have to know about me is that I was not a good scouting type of person. Like, I hated the brownies, but moved into Girl Scouts. But I am probably historically the only person who never earned a Girl Scout badge. I tried, but I failed at the few I tried. So then I had to leave the Girl Scouts in shame, just complete turn in my greenness, because you know they wear green, And my sash was empty. Everyone, people had like thousands of badges. Mine was just a green piece of material. So I was a little worried about the land elevation map, and I figured I had to stick really close to Richard because we did a head count. And as we did a head count, I'm thinking, if we're doing a head count, he could lose us, because why else does he have to know how many of us there are? Like, who cares how many? If there's, but I got nervous that he was afraid one of us would end up missing. And of course, we know who that would be unless I stuck like glue to Richard. So I stood behind him and I kept going, do you know where we are? 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 And he was like, did you ever remember the Michael Jordan Mars Blackman commercial when he would be like, do you know what I, do you know, do you know, do you know? I was like that, Laura, I was like Mars Blackman the entire trip. Do you know where we are? Do you know? Anyway, he hated me, and we started out, and it wasn't too bad, hot, it was a little sweaty, a little rashy, a little nervous, but it wasn't bad until we got to this one part of the hike where we had to stop because I did not know this ahead of time. I did not know that plants, mind you, can attack you and harm you. So out in the middle of Joshua Tree, they have jumping cholla. People don't believe me. Google it. They come up, they jump the things, the stickers or whatever they are. They jump onto you. So this poor guy, he was a dentist, I think. There he is with like stickers coming out of his leg, out of his calf. And the only way to get them out, you don't just pluck them out. They're like this long, they're long. The only way to get them out is with a comb. Fortunately, Richard, leader that he was, he always carries a comb when hiking, but I would never think to carry a comb other than from my bangs. So he's combing the stickers, those things, what needles, whatever they are, out of this poor guy's leg, which is like, I can't even look because I'm a needle phobe. I'm like, I'm dizzy now and think I need to turn back, but there's no turning back. So anyway, he also told us that not only do you need a comb to get them out of your leg or anywhere they're on you, but they can penetrate your hiking boots and stick into your feet. And they're not lethal, but they're not good. So that was a really fun part of this hike. I do have to pee, but I refused to find a rock. I just decided that I would become toxic and maybe they'd have to airlift me out, but I wasn't peeing behind a rock. So the next traumatic thing that happens is we get to this like dead end. Like there's no way, there's no path other than a wall of boulders in front of us. I'm like, where's the path? Do you know, Richard? And he's like, well, you have to go over it. So my sister, who I did not chit chat with yet, she described this fun part of this walk as boulder scrambling. What the fuck? I mean, seriously, the needles in this man's leg, and now the giant, not like little steps that you can climb over. I've done that, little rocks, giant boulders, like boulders. And the only way out is up and over them. I can't even get over the first one because I don't quite get how to scramble. I mean, other people are, I need to be airlifted over those boulders. So this man behind me, he looked like a nice guy. And I looked at him and I went, you gotta put your hands on my ass, on my butt, because you're gonna have to push me up over these boulders or I'm never leaving here. So he did, he got right up behind me and literally lifted me from my butt up over all the boulders. Phew, that sucked, didn't it? I mean, I made it, but I'm not happy. I don't think I didn't smile once this entire hike, nor did I chat with anyone other than Richard. But yeah, so that was kind of the end. That was sort of then we up and over, and then on the other side was a path again. And then he said we were done. We hiked, I think, 8.2 miles. I didn't pee. I was hot. I had a rash. I pulled up my shirt. My stomach was covered like in hives. And then I saw the car. Do you know how nice it is to see a car on the horizon and the bathroom? It was like a work of art. My car and the bathroom became a work of art. So I'm not hiking anymore, or if I do, I am not hiking without the ability to call Uber or just a cab. That was my experience. And next time, I'm not going. Let's just put it to really truthfully. I now decided that all my fantasies about the base camp of Everest, I couldn't even leave sea level, no less climb up, to the base camp of Everest where oxygen would become necessary, and peeing in the snow and freezing to death. So I can only go from now on where I can call a cab. Peace.